Okay, what's up, what's up? I'm back with a video, first time in a while for one of these on this channel. But I had to come back because Marvel Studios just did their 2022 Comic-Con panel showing a lot of stuff from the very end of Phase 4 to all of Phase 5, revealing what's going to be there at least, and showing parts of Phase 6, and it's very exciting. One of the last videos I made was in 2019, and that one was extremely silly from their Comic-Con panel, almost exactly 2 years ago. Or 3 years ago, actually. But yeah, my expectations going into this panel were pretty high. I was extremely excited. But a lot of people were not as much excited. They felt that the MCU, after Endgame, is going downhill, and it's a bit directionless and aimless. And what I was hoping from this panel is that it would kind of show the focus and what is really going on here, and I think it probably did a good job of that, and certainly it shows that the MCU will have a focus and a goal in the next few years. I think it's certainly a valid critique to be had that the Disney Plus shows have like a sort of rigid 6-episode structure for the most part, but it's been pretty obvious what they've set up with the multiverse and Kang and everything, leading to what we're ultimately going to get to, with a bunch of teams being set up, including it's pretty obvious they're forming the Thunderbolts and Young Avengers, and we're finding the pieces to that. So there were a lot of rumors before this, and obviously some things were reported on that they just confirmed. But there were certainly some surprises. More surprises than the panel in 2019, which is a good thing. Yeah, so I'm just going to get into it. They did confirm that this Phase 4 through 6 is going to be called the Multiverse Saga. That's something I've been thinking it would be called for a while. It's obviously been the focus of what they've been setting up. I think before I said that maybe they should start calling the MCU the MCM for Marvel Cinematic Multiverse instead of Cinematic Universe. But MCU just has a bit of ring to it, so we'll probably keep saying that, although most things probably aren't exactly canon to the main... Well, most things are canon to the main universe, but a lot of things aren't that are still... We'd say they're in the MCU. Before this panel, there was some stuff from animation, which I want to mention. The Marvel Studios panel kind of neglected animation for the most part, which is fine because it'll get its own thing, and I'm sure whenever we get to the big culminations, there will be some hints about it, and it's not going to be unimportant. But yeah, there's Spider-Man Freshman Year, What If Season 2, Marvel Zombies, and a bunch of other fun stuff like that happening over on that side. But just getting into what happened at the Marvel Studios panel, they released the final trailer for She-Hulk, which was pretty good. It really shows what's going to be the series. It's going to be a humorous thing. It's going to feature Wong, and She-Hulk's going to be the lawyer for Emil Blonsky, the Abomination. And we are going to have Daredevil return in what appears to be a yellow suit, at least partially. So that's certainly very exciting. And I hope that that show can kind of subvert the structure of what the MCU shows have been doing recently. They revealed some stuff from Quantumania, Ant-Man Quantumania. It's going to have MODOK in it, and probably as a secondary villain to Kang. Kang the Conqueror, which we're going to see in his true glory in either this or Loki Season 2. I would assume from the timeline that we're going to be seeing him in Quantumania first. And we're going to have Stature, or she might be called Stinger, Cassie Lang, Ant-Man's daughter, which she eventually becomes a young Avenger, and they revealed a poster for this show, for this movie. So that's all very exciting. Secret Invasion is going to be an exciting show. We'll see who's a Skrull and who's not. They showed that Rhodey's going to be in it. There's a bunch of footage they revealed at Comic-Con that people in the public couldn't see. They just showed a She-Hulk and Wakanda Forever trailer, which I'll get to that later. They showed a lot of footage at Comic-Con only for Guardians 3. It is certainly something that's going to be exciting. The biggest piece of information was confirmation that the High Evolutionary is going to be in it. And, you know, I'm excited for that. He's an experiment guy who, like, presumably created Rocket Raccoon, and he's going to be played by Chukwudi Iwuji, if I'm saying that right. He was in James Gunn's Peacemaker, and I think he's a pretty good actor and should have a powerful role there. And I'm excited for Guardians 3, but honestly, the hype for that one isn't as much as some of the other things. But there was practically no new information about Echo, Loki, or Loki Season 2, that is, or the Marvels. But we did get dates, or at least general timelines, that they should be coming out, which is good. We got an official release date confirming that Blade would be coming out in 2023, which is about all we got there. Still really excited for Blade. Ironheart, we got a time slot that it'll be releasing in fall 2023. But we did get our first look at Ironheart in the Wakanda Forever trailer, which is very exciting. The Agatha Harkness show was changed from Agatha House of Harkness to Agatha Coven of Chaos, which I don't know which one's a better title. Probably they changed it for a reason, so I'll accept that. And also, speaking of titles, last video I made I dissed on Thor Love and Thunder as a title, and I do want to note that as I've seen that movie now, I have come around on it, and the movie itself does a lot to make that a good title, so just wanted to correct the record on that. Daredevil Born Again was revealed, and I think that's a pretty good title. Obviously, Season 3 covered the Born Again story arc, so I don't think it'll do much for Born Again as a story there, but as Daredevil entering the MCU and being rebooted properly, I think it's representative of some stuff. Vincent D'Onofrio will be back as Kingpin, and obviously Charlie Cox as Daredevil. They haven't confirmed any of the rest of the cast, if they'll have Foggy Nelson and Karen Page and stuff like that back. Hopefully they have Bullseye. There's a lot of characters from the show that they should bring back, but they did confirm it will be 18 episodes, so that's very hopeful. I'm not sure how they're going to release it, because, I mean, obviously networks release shows 18 episodes just once a week, but I'm not sure if streaming services, and especially not Disney Plus, do that as often, so we'll have to see how they do that. But it's a very exciting prospect. With 18 episodes, it might seem like they're reintroducing and possibly wrapping up the character, but that certainly remains to be seen. And I think if it's a successful show, and if Echo's a successful show as well, and people call for more, I think we could definitely get a lot more stuff from the Underside Defenders world. I think that, and I mean, Daredevil's been in a lot of stuff. He's going to be in freshman year. He appeared in No Way Home, obviously. We got stuff related to him in Hawkeye. He's going to be in She-Hulk. He's going to be in Echo, and he's going to have his own show, and presumably he'd appear in the upcoming Avengers movies. as I would assume pretty much everyone's going to. But yeah, I just hope that this show brings the spirit of the old one back and most of the supporting cast. And there's just like the little things, like the opening theme song and like how they go to Josie's bar and stuff like that, that I think they should bring back. If there's one thing from the Born Again comic that I think they should take that season 3 didn't, as much as setting it around Christmas time, and having it snow and stuff, because that's a fun little thing you can do with the setting. But enough of that one. Captain America New World Order is going to come out May 3rd, 2024, following up Falcon and Winter Soldier, obviously, with Sam Wilson becoming Captain America. We don't really have any other details on that one. It's been known for a long time that's coming out. The title was leaked beforehand, along with a couple other things that I'll get to, which is unfortunate, like from copyright stuff. I'd hope they wouldn't make that mistake again, but we'll see. But yeah, really looking forward to that. I'm not even going to speculate what I think would be the plot of that. Probably Bucky Barnes will be in it as well. If it's a New World Order, maybe there's some sort of Illuminati or like Hydra's coming back, something like that. Now, one thing I'm really excited for coming out, the last movie to be announced for 2024 is Thunderbolts, which is something I've been waiting for a long time, because they've kind of been laying the seeds for that, I think, maybe since Civil War. And about 8 years it's taken for that to come out. So, we'll obviously have Zemo, and William Hurt, who played Thunderbolt Ross, is not alive anymore, but we have Madam Hydra maybe coming to take that role, and a number of other sort of anti-heroes and villains in the MCU that'll be able to make their own team, and that should be pretty fun. They confirmed, I was actually wrong saying that the last movie announced for 2024 was Thunderbolts. It's Fantastic Four in November, but there's possibly some other dates in 2024 that they'll fulfill upon later, because they've only announced 3 movies. And from the slate being as packed as it is, I would be surprised if they ever did 3 movies again for a while. Fantastic Four, we get no other details on the date. Obviously, it'll be a big rumble when the cast is revealed and everything. And I think it's good to establish Fantastic Four before we get into the Avengers events and such. I don't know if they'll establish Galactus beforehand. I think obviously they need to establish Doom in some fashion. Whether he gets his own project or not, we'll see how central he is, whether like Doom's the villain of the first movie or it's like Mole Man or something, and how much the Fantastic Four are introduced in the movie, or whether they just like how much of an origin story it is. I don't know how much they should. It really depends on what they want to do. But the big announcements were Avengers Kang Dynasty and Avengers Secret Wars, which is really exciting. And they're coming out back to back, but presumably there will be some movies, or maybe like one movie in between. It seems like there's 2 from how the slate is, but I could be wrong. But one's coming out May 2nd, 2025, one's coming out November 7th, 2025. So, obviously Kang will be the main villain of the first one, at least. I would assume that Kang is at least knocked off by presumably Doom or someone by the end of Kang Dynasty, because if Kang was the really end game of this saga, then Kang Dynasty would probably be the second movie, not Secret Wars. And Secret Wars is probably the biggest end game that we can get to within the MCU for a while. I mean, after this, the only thing I can think of is really putting a lot on X-Men and maybe getting to an Avengers versus X-Men movie. But like in terms of crossover events with bringing everyone in, I mean like everyone in that's ever like starred in a Marvel movie, like this is Secret Wars is the type of thing that you want to bring in like Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans to finally come back and like not actually come back to life, but like some multiverse version of them and have the actors reprise their roles. That's when you finally want to do it, and a lot of people, including myself, said that Secret Wars should probably not come so soon, but I hope that they manage to do it, and I'm glad that they're doing Kang Dynasty first, because I hope that'll have time to establish Avengers team before you get to Secret Wars as a big event. So we'll see what that Avengers team is. I'm sure by Secret Wars it'll probably comprise everyone, but maybe we'll get a more structured thing in the Kang Dynasty. And those stories are obviously going to be really connected, and I think they'll go really big. So super excited for that. In terms of whether or not they'll set up Young Avengers beforehand, there's a number of projects that they've yet to announce, and they'll do so probably at D23, a lot of things. In Young Avengers has obviously been set up by a number of things. In Quantumania is something that seems to maybe set up Young Avengers. I wouldn't be surprised if we get Iron Lad in that movie, and because he ends up having a relationship with Cassie Lang, and then Kang's in that movie as well, so you could do an arc there. Yeah, I don't know in regards to who is going to direct Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars. Feige said after Comic-Con that it's not the Russo brothers, which could be true, and that'd be fine on one level because they finished their story with Endgame and letting it be a different sort of thing told this time around. But also they're definitely some of the only people that could really do it justice. And a lot of the people directing solo MCU movies right now, no offense to them, and they're doing a lot of good work, but really handling an Avengers team and really wanting to do that, I'm not sure there's many people that could. The only other person I can really think of that's directed an MCU movie before, and that's probably something you'll want to do before directing 2 Avengers movies, presumably they'll be directed by the same person or people, is Jon Favreau. But he's obviously busy with a lot of Star Wars stuff. But if Jon Favreau came back for it, I think that'd be pretty big. But yeah, super excited for this. Amazing reveal. We're obviously 2.5 years out. So. Or just about. More. 3 years out, actually. And obviously, math and counting years is not my strong suit, but that wasn't what they capped off the panel with. What they capped off the panel with, and I wasn't thinking this was the way they would go. I was thinking it would be a major reveal, but I think ending it with Wakanda Forever and doing that trailer was probably the right way to go, because it was an amazingly impressive trailer. That was just it's super promising, and it was really a cinematic ode to Chadwick Boseman in his memory. And it established what is going to be the mystery of who's going to become Black Panther in this movie. My guess is probably on Shuri, ultimately, but it could be M'Baku or a number of people. And obviously Wakanda's really reeling from T'Challa's death. I think there might also be flashbacks to during the blip in this movie. But we'll see about that. The villains of this movie are going to be Namor and the Atlanteans, who may be mutants, setting up that sort of thing. But it was an amazing trailer. I'll link it below. You can go watch it. I'm super excited for Wakanda Forever. Black Panther is one of my favorite MCU movies, and this one absolutely has potential to be right up there. So, looking forward to it, and I think it'll be a great end for Phase 4. In terms of things that they didn't talk about, that obviously they're developing, and things that'll close out Phase 6, and some things in Phase 4, or maybe Phase 4 or Phase 5, that are shows. They didn't mention Armor Wars or a Halloween special we know they're doing. There's allegedly a Wonder Man show, a Nova show, a Wakanda show. That they're supposed to have been doing, and these have all been credibly reported, so I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some things at D23 and in other coming announcements to be revealed about things like that. But in terms of movies that I think will be announced for Phase 6, Deadpool 3, we know that one's been in development and it's writing. It's probably one of the closest to being filmed that they didn't announce, so I wouldn't be surprised if that's the first movie they announced. Shang-Chi 2, that's one we know is happening. An Eternal sequel. I just like a proper sequel to Eternals, but obviously that wasn't one of the most well-received movies in Phase 4, but I think that it could certainly work, and I really hope that Eternals lend a big part into Secret War and Kang Dynasty in some way. Doctor Strange 3 obviously has to have something big to do with Secret Wars, because the incursions, and like there was a direct cliffhanger at the end of Multiverse of Madness that will probably lead into Doctor Strange 3 and then directly into Secret Wars, so that's probably a movie that needs to be made before that. Thor 5 is one that may or may not be made before that. Allegedly there's no plan to do it as of Love and Thunder coming out, but I wouldn't be surprised if it happens with the setup of Hercules and whatnot. Young Avengers, something that could be a movie or a show. I'm leaning towards possibly a movie just because of how many characters and effects it would be, but also the story might be done better for being a show. But super excited for that if it is announced, which I expect it to be. Midnight Suns, the team up of all the supernatural characters like Blade and Moon Knight and Black Knight and Werewolf by Night and a number of other characters, is probably something that's going to be announced. I'd expect that one might be a movie, but it may not be. And then obviously X-Men, which I have a lot of expectations for X-Men. They announced the X-Men 97 show, which is a continuation of the 90s animated series that I'm excited to watch, but it just does make me think that the X-Men movie is going to follow more in line with that, from the small hints we've gotten in Multiverse of Madness and Miss Marvel about what's happening with X-Men. And I'd caution them not to focus too much on that aspect of it, and also look at all the eras and especially their origin in the First Class. But there's a number of things you can do with X-Men, and I'd certainly want them to focus on all of the eras and characters when it happens. And that's something I'd expect they announce, maybe one of their bigger announcements, but I would expect that to happen before Secret Wars, because in the original Secret Wars event and in the 2015 version, the X-Men and the Fantastic Four and the Avengers are all big players that come together. And these are Avengers movies. They're not new Avengers movies, but it'll be a new team of Avengers and all sorts of superheroes that come together, and I'm very excited for it. And it'll make cinema history, $3 billion. I would wager it would be somewhere close to that for sure. The Kang Dynasty just has to, like Infinity War did, have a shocking ending, and then Secret Wars has to have the big, explosive, like, heroic moment, like Endgame did. So, that's about all. Stay connected, and thank you for watching.